let's say the Patriots beat the Bills again this season, and at the very brisk business, by the way, Herald, the headline is Patriots clinch division in Vrabel's first year. MVP Allen falls short again. How's that going to play in Buffalo?
Not good.
Okay. How's that going to play? Worst receiving room in the league for a star quarterback. Matt Stafford has Sean McVay, has an array of weapons. Devontae Adams and Puka. By the way, you could have traded for Devontae Adams. He was on the market.
What I said.
Greg Cosell, truth bomb yesterday on our show about the Bills' current roster.
You'd be hard-pressed to name an impact player that they have on the defensive side of the ball. They certainly don't have a receiving core. If we look at Shakir and say he's their best receiver, he's clearly a number 3 type. He's very good at that, but he's a number 3 type. So they're really not that good a football team. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about, well, this is Josh Allen's year, and if he doesn't make it, you know, that is so silly. They're just not that good overall from a talent perspective.
Last week, Josh Allen completed 22 passes. 15 were to tight ends and running backs. It's the weakest wide receiver room in the league. And the general manager, Brandon Beane, when he was called out by local media, instead of owning it, because this is an awful receiving room, they don't have a number 1 or a number 2, Brandon Beane went after the local Buffalo radio hosts.
Wide receiver is one of the dumbest arguments I've heard.
Really? Worst receiving room in the league? Josh Allen's the quarterback, best deep ball thrower in the league? By the way, Brandon Beane brought back 20 of 22 starters. He thinks this group's good. They're not. They've got a handful of really good players. At the trade deadline, by the way, Jacoby Myers was available. They talked to him. Didn't land him. You know where he went? Jacksonville. 3 straight games with a touchdown, Jacoby Myers. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, both, they need a win. And they are favored, and they may match up very well with the Patriots. But they have the world's best football player at the most important position. I had Mark Schlereth on this week. And I asked Mark, I said, you know, you've been around the Bills. And his quote was, I was thoroughly unimpressed with Buffalo as a football team. Blown away by their quarterback, unimpressed with everything else. Greg Cosell watches the film. You watch the games. I do too. So Todd Bowles may not be a head coach. And I think Sean McDermott is more than capable. And Brandon Beane has hit on some really good players. But when he's barking at local radio hosts, my take is last week is a prime example of why this team feels out of the Super Bowl bubble. 22 completions, 15 to tight ends and running backs. The local radio guys, probably right. Jacoby Myers on the market. Devontae Adams. Again, I'm watching the Rams go out, land Nate Landman, Devontae Adams, Emmanuel Forbes, and nail every draft pick defensively for 3 years. I just don't think Buffalo's that good. And what if New England in Mike Vrabel's first year and the kid quarterback Drake May sweep them in Vrabel's first year? Maybe you're not going to pull the trigger like Todd Bowles getting fired after the season. I think this game is huge for the GM and the head coach because Buffalo's got the owner. He's a good owner, new stadium, star quarterback, everything else to me on the table.
It's quite interesting to hear Greg Cosell's analysis now align with a perspective I've championed for an extended period. The notion that Josh Allen is fundamentally carrying this Buffalo Bills team, which possesses a roster not quite as formidable as its reputation suggests. Furthermore, the pervasive narrative that if Allen doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, it's a failure on him, is, as Cosell aptly labeled it, nonsensical. What kind of logic is that? Here's a reality check for fans of Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, and other legends. You should genuinely hope Josh Allen doesn't secure a championship this season. Why? Because if he manages to hoist the Lombardi Trophy with this current Bills construction, it would arguably represent a more monumental individual carry job than anything Mahomes has accomplished, perhaps in modern NFL history. Allen is operating without the elite, stable coaching structure the consistently dominant defense, or the offensive weaponry that Mahomes has often enjoyed. The disparity in supporting infrastructure is vast, which makes Allen's current production even more remarkable. This foundational argument is precisely why I previously made the case for Josh Allen as the clear MVP over Matthew Stafford. Examine the contexts. Stafford is blessed with targets like Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, an elite defense, an offensive line that mitigates pressure, a reliable run game, and a brilliant offensive coach in Sean McVay. Josh Allen has none of those luxuries in Buffalo. Yet, observe the statistics he's compiling and the victories he's single-handedly willing into existence. The MVP conversation should be unequivocal. He is the most valuable player to his team by a staggering margin. A fascinating double standard emerges when we compare this to past discussions. Consider Brock Purdy's situation in San Francisco. He stepped into an elite system with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Kyle Shanahan, and produced at a high level. The immediate, widespread reaction was to attribute his success almost entirely to the system and surrounding talent, heavily discounting his MVP candidacy as a result. Now, observe Matthew Stafford. He is undeniably an elite quarterback, and I would choose him over Purdy without hesitation. However, he is also operating within an incredibly supportive environment, a top-tier roster, stellar weapons, and excellent coaching. He's putting up fantastic numbers, and the discourse quickly shifts to Stafford for MVP. Where is the same systemic discount applied here? If the argument is that we've seen Stafford be elite for years, whereas Purdy was an unknown, that's valid. But the core principle remains. A quarterback's production is inherently linked to his ecosystem. We routinely critique quarterbacks for excelling with great rosters, except when we personally hold that quarterback in high esteem, like Mahomes or, now, Stafford. This inconsistency in analysis is glaring. Josh Allen's performance this season transcends that debate. He is clearly the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and his value is amplified by the relative lack of elite support. For fans of other elite quarterbacks, a Bills championship led by Allen should be a terrifying prospect. It would likely stand as one of the most impressive individual carry jobs in league history, surpassing achievements by Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and potentially even the legendary seasons of Tom Brady. It would be a feat arguably unmatched in its degree of difficulty, given the roster construction. This leads directly to the poignant question: are the Buffalo Bills wasting Josh Allen's prime? Look at the proactive roster moves of a team like the Los Angeles Rams. When they identified a championship window, they aggressively acquired game changers, trading for Matthew Stafford, signing Odell Beckham Jr., trading for Von Miller. These were definitive, all-in moves that directly catalyzed their Super Bowl run. They didn't just get a quarterback. They surrounded him with elite talent. What is the equivalent franchise-altering move the Bills have made to unequivocally elevate Allen's supporting cast? The acquisition of Stephon Diggs was significant, but that was years ago. Since then, where is the bold, season-defining addition? They could have pursued a player like Mike Evans, an absolute steal on his recent contract, to provide another dynamic weapon. The Rams, who already had Puka Nacua, went out and got Cooper Kupp back healthy because they understood that stacking talent is how you separate from the pack. The Bills have not operated with that same aggressive win-now urgency. If Josh Allen somehow navigates this Bills team to a Super Bowl victory, it wouldn't just be a great accomplishment. It would be a historic sports moment. The magnitude of that carry job would be insane, arguably surpassing iconic carries in other sports by legends like LeBron James, Stephen Curry, or Michael Jordan in certain seasons, due to the sheer imbalance of roster talent. The upcoming game is a critical juncture. If the Bills triumph, it sets the stage for a potential playoff run that could redefine Allen's legacy. As Greg Cosell implied, placing the championship burden solely on Allen's shoulders when the team around him isn't at an elite level is an unfair and illogical standard. Yet, paradoxically, if Allen overcomes that very standard, it would cement his achievement as one of the most remarkable in NFL history. Those are my reflections. What's your take? Do you believe Josh Allen is the undeniable MVP? Are the Bills failing to maximize his prime with their roster construction? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. Let's get a discussion going. Please consider subscribing to join our community. A thumbs up on the video also genuinely helps. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.